Oh, yeah!
Ladies and gentlemen!
Are you ready for your moment of bliss?
Because what Poppy wants, Poppy gets.
Yowie wowie! I don't even know if that's PG! Acknowledge me! Woo! Oh, you didn't know? Well, let me tell you something, brother!
Welcome to the most must-see WWE talk show in history. Welcome to
the Cream of the Crop Wrestling Podcast.
The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better! It's still real to me, damn it!
Hello and welcome. This is The Bottom Line, a show where we give you a rundown in our commentary. This is The Bottom Line of SmackDown, October 21st, 2022. You're listening to the Cream of the Crop Wrestling Podcast. We are your mega powers of the program. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Rob. And please be sure to help the Kingdom of the Madness by sharing, and subscribing. Pat, not the greatest show tonight, but it was consistent from beginning to end.
Well, what word would you give us to describe the show?
That's my word. Consistent.
Consistent
tonight.
Well, folks,
Yes.
That's our word of the night, so sit back and relax and enjoy some wrestling. SmackDown started with a match right off the get-go. It was Sheamus versus Solo Sikoa, and during the Sheamus entrance, there was a Bray Wyatt glitch. It was just a little flash of his logo saying he's here. Sheamus still bruised from the Extreme Rules match. They trade some heavy hits. Sheamus shows to be a little stronger than Solo, but Solo proves to be a tough matchup for Sheamus. Solo takes advantage of a bruised Sheamus and starts targeting his shoulder. Sheamus still fights back using one arm basically. It ends up hitting the beats of the battering, goes for a brogue kick, but Solo sidesteps and super kicks him. Then Sheamus knees Solo in the head out of nowhere. When Sheamus goes for a cover, Sammy jumps on the apron to disrupt the ref. Then Butch pulls Sammy down pretty hard. Butch and Ridge Holland end up getting super kicked by the Usos over the announcer's desk. Then the Usos flip over the desk to bury them under it. Sheamus jumps from the turnbuckle, the top turnbuckle, that is, and clotheslines both Usos. Then when he goes to get back in the ring, Sammy grabs his leg, giving Solo Sikoa the chance to set up for the spinning Solo. 1, 2, 3, Solo beats Sheamus. Then all of the bloodline set Sheamus up against the steel steps at the end of the match and pin his arm through a steel chair. And they just hammer his bad arm and shoulder with another chair, basically kind of giving it a smashed concerto to his elbow. So this was a lot to unpack here. What do you think about it?
First of all, there's a few matches like this tonight where there are matches that I never knew I wanted until they happened, and I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying this immensely, and this is one of them. So I liked that a lot. I love just this rivalry in general because all the different pairings that we're going to be able to get between Butch and Ridge Holland, and then all the Usos and Sami Zayn. Speaking of Sami Zayn, as we always do, one of my favorite spots in this is when Sheamus was in the corner. Solo Sikoa does the running where he runs and turns around and hits his butt to Sheamus's face, who's laying down in the corner.
Yeah, he backs that up.
And Sammy is right there in the corner, just talking and laughing mad shit to Sheamus's face after he gets hit there right the whole time, and the camera's right on it, and I love it. Like, it's just so good. This rivalry is going to be awesome. I assume they're setting it up for them to be the War Games match and just adding either Drew McIntyre to it and then possibly Kevin Owens or whoever else to make it a good 5-on-5. But loved this match. I love the way they're building Solo Sikoa. That dude, physically he's a big dude. I wish he were a little taller or maybe just a little bit bigger to playing the role that he is playing right now. But they are making him look like a killer by putting down some big dudes and putting them down really decisively. So I really enjoy that. I think he'll be looking forward. So I've been trying to map out who's going to beat Gunther.
Yeah.
And the idea is to get all the titles on the Bloodline, correct?
I don't know. I mean, you would think so.
I mean, yeah. So is Solo Sikoa the one to beat Gunther?
You know? Because, I mean, they obviously set up to put Sheamus out. right?
Right.
Which we'll get a medical update on him later on in the night, and we're told that by commentary, at the end of the match after they get done beating his arm. But yeah, so it looks like Sheamus is going to be taking some time off, and I don't think the Brutes are going to be taking on the Usos or the Bloodline in general by themselves.
Nope.
So,
As I
Butch
say, I
and
think
Ridge
Sheamus will be
Holland.
back. Yeah, I think Sheamus will be back here in a few weeks. I think he's just going to take a few weeks off probably. But a nice little injury angle, get a little sympathy on the Brutes, really solidifying them as baby faces. They were already on that route, and they already were, but now this like kind of really solidifies it that these guys are crowd favorites. So yeah, no, I think it was an excellent spot. We'll see Sheamus probably back in a few weeks, definitely. But yeah, overall, it's a hot way to start the show. I enjoyed it a lot, and the more Bloodline, the better, and the more Butch, the better.
The more Butch, the better. The Butch is totally over with me as well.
Well, because you know what? We'll talk about this one later. There's one I want to talk about later. We'll move on.
All right. Well, the next thing we see is a clip from earlier in the day where Rey Mysterio is walking into the arena, and he's stopped by Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. And this is setting up a match later between Rey Mysterio and Ludwig Kaiser. What do you think about this? Do you think Rey Mysterio's the one to beat Gunther?
I don't, but this is just a legend for Gunther to beat to have like a little bit more credibility. But this is actually what I wanted to talk about just a second ago. I didn't realize Rey Mysterio moving over to SmackDown, how many guys he's not worked with that I wanted to see. Like, I never thought, Rey Mysterio, Ludwig Kaiser, that's going to be fun. It was fun. But not Ludwig Kaiser, but Rey Mysterio, we got the potential of Rey Mysterio and Butch down the road. Like, my mind is blown knowing that is something that we could get down the road. Is a Rey Mysterio and Butch match. Like,
Rey Mysterio
that just
does not age in the ring, man.
He does not.
He's almost 50, and he still moves like he's in his late 20s or early 30s.
Yeah, so like this move to SmackDown at first, I was like, all right, that's cool, whatever. And then after this week, I was like, oh, this is actually really awesome. All right, cool, I'm down. So because another one too is have we gotten the Roman Reigns Rey Mysterio match yet?
No.
That's another legend, man. That could be an easy win for Roman. Like, if you want to put them together at, like, the Rumble or something like that. Like, someone with name credibility that Roman could beat just to move on to keep his title.
Well, let's move on because this is something we're going to have to really sit and unpack.
Yes.
Because this was Bray Wyatt, and he was backstage. And this was a very somber promo that we're getting from Bray. And he starts out he apologized for last week for not getting to finish what he was saying. And he goes on and says, revenge is a confession of pain. He feels like confessing some things to us. He feels like it can help. Confesses that he has always had problems, but anger takes him to places he doesn't want to be. This past time, it took him to a place he shouldn't have came back from. But for whatever reason, he did. Chances most people won't get. He confesses he was happy and content just being left alone. He was okay with it being over. He wanted you to leave him alone. Oh, he wanted you to stop saying his name, and he wanted you to leave him the hell alone. But he confesses he's really glad you didn't. Because he needed you. He needed all of you. You pulled the spears out of his ribs, you yanked him up, and you told him what he's supposed to do without even having to tell him. And he's thankful for that, because now he could see. He says, I know who you are. I know what you want. I know what you are trying to do, but it won't work. I confess on this journey I'm going to do horrible things, but I will never feel sorry for them. I'm just a servant now. I go where the circle takes me. Then winks at the camera, and that's the end of that promo. A lot to unpack here. What do you think?
Dude, so I think they're definitely going with the split personality.
Absolutely. I'm 100%.
Yeah.
He wasn't talking. I don't think he's talking to the fans. He's not talking to us fans.
Mm-mm.
He's talking to him. He's talking to the other hymns.
Yeah, like he's not talking to us, at all. Because at first I'm like, oh man, this is kind of a heel promo right now, and then I realized this is not a heel promo. This is just him being a psychopath, just a
Now,
split personality.
now I know there's a lot of theories of, like people are expecting a faction. So I think we're
Right.
getting a mix of this. We're going to get some characters that basically represent Bray's other personalities.
Yes,
And
I'm
we're
with you 100% on that. Like at first, I'm kind of with you where I thought we were going to get, like you said, people playing different roles, but I could see them being a lot of personalities that never get into the ring, and maybe just two personalities that end up in the ring. But yeah, this one again, Ray always has cryptic promos, and I love it. His delivery right now, he comes across as confident and scared at the same time. Like he's confident in himself as a human being and he's grateful to be there, but he has like this fear when he talks, and this fear in his eyes that says, "But I know what the other side of me can do and I'm really scared to show everyone that."
well,
And it's oh
he
man.
talks like he's like, well, that's like at the beginning when he apologizes for not getting to finish what he was saying last week. He said, well, that's okay, I will now. It's very somber like feeling, and it's like you're saying, like he's kind of scared, and it's like he knows he can't do anything about it, so he's
Mhm.
accepted it. He's
Yes.
accepted who he is, and I mean, we'll get some more Bray Wyatt stuff later on tonight, but this was very like if you really have to read into this, and not everybody's expecting Wyatt 6, and I know people are talking about WWE trademarks and whatnot, but let this story take you where it's going.
Yes.
Let
Sit
them
back and enjoy the ride like
they're giving you enough clues. There's enough stuff you can just listen to the words and follow the QR codes.
yeah,
You
my
don't.
only curiosity is I just want to know who's the first victim? Who's the first rivalry? That's the only one I'm curious on.
A lot of people complaining that this is dragging out, and
No, it's not. No, it's
yeah,
not.
this is what the second week. Like,
Yeah,
relax,
no,
people.
let it play out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
relax. The next thing we get is another segment, and it's the Bloodline is backstage celebrating Solo's win and hurting Sheamus's arm. Sammy tells Solo he's been a gem of an addition to the Bloodline. Says their work here is done, and he's alluding to basically wrapping up and leaving probably for the night. Jay interrupts him and says that they should get Logan Paul later. Sammy tells him the tribal chief was very specific to not engage Logan Paul at all, who will be in the show later tonight, and it just wouldn't be very oozy. Jay kind of, jokes with him and says, "All right, I got you," kind of, and walks off. Right, but what do you think about this?
It does more again of I feel like they're really like if you like I was actually watching more of like Jimmy's reaction to this because Jay of course gets fired up
My
and a little bit
dog,
more intense here.
my
Yeah,
dog.
my dog.
That was just, I love Jim. More Jimmy. I want more
More
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yeah. I
But
love the dap it up handshake they got. It's like the third, fourth time I've seen it, and it gets.
yes. But like I watch these segments and the more and more that like Sammy says, Tribal Chief wants this and Jimmy's going along with it and Solo Sikoa's going along with it, and then the more Jay just doesn't go along with it, the more they're just alienating himself, and the more that like you can just see the anger rising in Jay because he wants to show he's a leader. He wants to show that he is trying to be there for the family and not Sammy, and it's just making him even more mad all the time. So I really love the dynamic because you can watch Jimmy's reaction to it all, and Jimmy's just sitting there like, "No, Jay, like you're getting a little out of hand right now." Like that's kind of the look on his face all the time, and I I think those are the telling signs, and I just love the dynamic that just alienating Jay more and more every single week, every episode. Yeah.
It's every time we see him, just he gets a little bit further away, a little bit more hot headed. All right, well, let's move on to our second match of the night. It was Liv Morgan versus Sonya Deville. Liv came out sporting some Harley Quinn gear. This match is a result of last week's tussle backstage between these two women. They have a good back and forth. Liv would laugh and smile after every hit from Sonya. Liv was a little more chaotic and a little more unhinged, a little more aggressive during this match. Sonya controlled the better part of the match. Sonya is awesome. Like, I think she's... The more I see Sonya, I just notice little more things about her. I think she's, very much improved in the ring, and I love it so much. Liv starts asking for more and just snaps and ends up taking Sonya to the outside of the ring and just starts tossing her around into the steps and into the barricade. The ref ends up counting to 10, and it's a double count out. Liv starts laughing about it some more, about Eve losing, then starts grabbing chairs and throwing them into the ring. I believe I counted 6. She lets Sonya up on the turnbuckle, or sets Sonya up on the turnbuckle, and then superplexes her onto the chairs, hurting them both, and continues to laugh about it. What do you think about this?
Match itself was good. I agree with you on Sonya Deville. So, I remember when her and Mandy had that awesome feud that blew off at, I want to say it was a SummerSlam. I thought that she was amazing in that feud as well. I thought both of them were, and I thought that was actually going to lead to a little bit more. But no, I think Sonya in the ring is great. Sonya on the promo is great. So it was good to see her get another match again. As for Liv, okay, so I understand they're trying to make her look a little bit more crazy. And at first it was just kind of high table spot sentons. The suplex on all the chairs was a little more extreme tonight, so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed her facials. She's shown a lot of range with the acting. Yes, of course, with the Harley Quinn outfit, it just came across as cosplaying Harley Quinn, which we can try and look past it for right now. I would rather see her in her own just Liv Morgan gear and throw this on as opposed to a superhero movie reference, because it's hard to look past it a little bit.
Since the unhinged character, that makes it
Yes.
a little bit more cheesy. Like you're saying, I would prefer, her to maybe do it her own self. I did like the fact that she had the makeup and it was getting smeared during the match. That added
Yep.
for very good effect. And that's what I was waiting for the whole time, was her to basically snap and say, "Bring it on!" Like, just keep hitting me and just take, just keep taking the punishment. Like,
Yeah.
I'm starting to get into that, and I liked where it went at the end, where she ended up taking it too far. Would you consider this a heel turn?
Oh, not yet. I think this is just a character shift that's a tweener right now.
I'm with you. I don't consider this a heel turn either.
I want to wait till
I
a promo. We haven't really gotten a full promo of this character yet, so
yeah,
I want to wait.
we haven't gotten this is like playful aggressive almost. You know what I mean?
Yes, with weapons. Liv,
Yeah.
I
Liv,
love Liv.
I love this.
She
I love this chaotic character she's got going.
Yes,
Keep
she
going
just
with it.
unfortunately is just so small. It is kind of hard to take seriously when she goes against Charlotte or when she goes against someone like Ronda that you can tell is much larger than her. So I am all in on Liv essentially being the female Al Snow. Give me that. Yeah, just be a super psychopath human being that uses weapons. I'm down for that.
What do we want? Live.
Yes.
Yep. Well, moving on, because this was a good part of the night. I love it anytime we get to see LA Knight on screen, because we get a LA Knight vignette. And he reminds us, whose game is it? It's the Megastars game, LA Knight, baby. Yeah. What do you think about LA Knight?
I love LA Knight. Like, LA Knight's just going to be he's a star. Like, he's a star on the rise. He's got the body, he's got the look, he's got the chops. Yeah, there's nothing to say. He's going to be great.
I think he's on his way for a championship.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if you want to give him the Intercontinental title, I wouldn't be mad at that either.
Dude, he I don't see him as a world title contender, and that's just my eyes. I think I'm wrong, but that's just my eyes. But I think
A lot of
him
people
as
do.
a mid. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I think I'm wrong on this one, but I think him as a mid-title heel. Holy crap! Like I think he could hold that Intercontinental or US title as a heel, just and almost run it the same way like Mr. Perfect ran it back in the 1990.
Definitely. Oh, I'm still fascinated with how they're on this new cycle where we get the same characters every week. We get the same main ones usually, but we don't get, every week we'll get a shuffle, and I think it keeps the show fresh. But speaking of keeping the show fresh, because something coming, they're coming. They're the Viking Raiders, and that was the next vignette that we saw. And I mean, this is a cool vignette. We're getting this, shows off all their really cool Viking gear, and you just see the back of where I'm assuming it's Sarah Logan. It's got to be, who else would it be? And just her gear that she's wearing, and the way she's talking, and the way she says Valhalla awaits. I mean, it gives me goosebumps. I'm really interested in the new Viking Raiders, and I can't wait to see them.
No, they'll be good. Again, I love the tag team. They were booked well in NXT, so I'm not worried about them being a silly gimmick again as long as they can stay healthy. So I'm excited for it. Adds another dimension to it. And I don't think we ever got like an Usos Viking Raiders proper match yet. Not that I remember. So that's one that I'm excited for.
Definitely would be an interesting matchup. Speaking of interesting matchups, the next thing we get to see is the Braun Strowman face-to-face standoff with Omos. You have to say, I want to read his name as Omos, but it is Omos. MVP definitely reminds us of this later on. On commentary, they remind us that Braun Strowman is 6'8" and 340 pounds. I can't wait to see the tail of the tape. I hope they show it at Crown Jewel. Braun comes out and he cuts a promo, and MVP comes out alone, and MVP cuts a promo on Braun. Braun makes a challenge to Omos at Crown Jewel, and MVP accepts the challenge on the Nigerian Giant's behalf. Omos comes out, and Braun looks a little worried at first. We finally get to see these two in comparison, and Strowman's backed up a little bit when Omos enters the ring, and then takes a couple of steps forward into him, to where we get to finally see them, stacked side by side, which was a great shot. Then all of a sudden, Omos goes into the fighting stance and shoves Strowman clear out the ring. The only thing I have to say that was off about this that I didn't like was just the stance he went into. Like, it was almost, Power Ranger stance style. It was that was a little odd, and the timing of it was a little odd. But I mean, to be able to shove Strowman, I mean, he pushed him like he was an offensive lineman, to clear out that ring. And any big man that falls to the floor, it doesn't feel good. What'd you think about this match, this face to face?
I actually I get it that you want to get them face to face for the video package, but I was kind of hoping they'd actually hold it off until Crown Jewel. I was hoping that you were going to get MVP just working on behalf of Omos. Strowman trying to get to Omos, but I was kind of hoping that you'd hold it off, because if you could get that on a live event for the first time, them standing side by side like that, face to face, so I was kind of hoping it would have been a better shot. I wish they would have kind of held off on that. My other thought on it,
I was almost with you on that thought. Yeah, I almost thought they were about to do that. It seemed like they were going to do that.
Like a little bit of a missed opportunity, but. Yeah, missed opportunity, but it's okay. Like, it's not, these guys aren't big enough stars to where that affects my life. Like, it's not like we're waiting on two giant stars that, we can't wait. It's not Hogan and Andre, it's not even close to that. Second thought was, I really want to know, how much that suit cost Omos, because with the amount of material that had to be put and made into it, he was like the world's largest Wall Street banker. So, but
Still looks sharp though.
and I always do wonder. I'm like, they always shoot him from down below, so it makes him look taller. But I'm also like, or is he just that tall to where that's just the cameraman standing straight up, and that's what it looks like?
I don't know,
So,
but one thing I didn't like about this was the beginning when MVP came out. Okay, Braun Strowman is supposed to be depicted as this monster. I want MVP to be afraid to get into the ring, if he's alone. Show you make Braun appear to be that monster.
okay,
But that's my only
that's fair.
complaint. And that odd stance, I still can't get over that Power Ranger stance.
No, that was a weird stance. I'm with you.
But moving on, let's see. The next thing was just real quick was Kayla Braxton interviewing Drew McIntyre. She questions him about his attack last week on Karrion Kross about the car wreck, and asked him if there was any repercussions. Drew goes on to say that he did have a strong talk with upper management, and they're not allowed to have any contact, but all parties have agreed that this must be settled, and we're going to get Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross at Crown Jewel in a steel cage match. What do you think about this?
As long as this is the blow off, I'm okay with it. So yeah, I only want to see these guys have one more match with each other. It's I mean, I guess it only happened a week ago with that car wreck. I don't know why, but I feel like the feud is kind of like faded off a little bit. These guys are two big stars, and I kind of wish the feud would be a little bit more intense than it is. And so I don't really know. Maybe it's just me, and I'm not into it, or
Still 2 weeks till Crown Jewel.
okay, yeah. I hope they add some more to it. Maybe it's just a me thing. Maybe I'm just not into it. But I'm excited for a steel cage match. I hope it is. I hope that it's not an escape kind of thing. I would rather it be someone pinfall and make it definitive who wins. And I know steel cage match, even though there's supposed to be no shenanigans, there's always shenanigans because it's WWE. But I think it's a good blow-off feud. I think it's a good first feud for Karrion Kross to really solidify victory.
Scarlett's getting involved somehow.
I know she is. I know. So, but I also love too, man. Drew doing a promo. Not many people can get as much passion behind when he speaks, and so I am always down for Drew selling a match. I'm always down for Drew doing a promo. So standard promo, good babyface thing. Awesome that we're gonna have this match coming up. Two big brutes beating the hell out of each other in a cage. It feels very 1980s to me. I love it.
Man meat slapping man meat. We're all for that. But let's move on to our next match, which was the third match of the night, because it is Damage Control's Dakota Kai and Io Sky, accompanied by Bayley, of course, versus Shotzi and Raquel Rodriguez in a tag team championship match. So this match, Shotzi and Raquel work really well together, and they control most of the match. Shotzi ends up hitting a very nice missile drop kick on Dakota Kai while on Raquel's shoulders. They end up getting to the point where they hit what looks like a tag finisher. But Dakota stops the pin from happening, and that's when things just go all awry. Raquel and Dakota end up taking each other out to the outside of the ring. That's a mouthful. Allowing Io to set up for the moonsault, and she ends up pinning Shotzi. Clean. Damage Control retains. No funny business during this match. What did you think about that?
I enjoyed that. I know you wanted to see this feud go on a little bit more. You kind of talked about that before we went on the air here. For me personally, I don't think they built Raquel up big. I don't think they built up Shotzi enough. Shotzi has just come across as a jobber for a long time, so I would like to see her get built back up before we could see her winning matches and moving on. But I think the tag titles, since they got put on Damage Control, has kind of been a little bit on the back burner. So I like to see them just winning matches defiantly, winning them without shenanigans, and just kind of solidifying that, hey, we are the best women's tag team right now in wrestling. Moving forward here, as you're kind of just building credibility to it. So, but as the match in general, it was just a fine standard women's tag match.
Yeah, this was a good match, and both teams worked well together. I think Io and Dakota showed a lot of improvement working together here. Not that they've been working bad together, but you can see they're getting more fluidity working together. And my only takeaway is that they did end up going over and they beat Raquel and Shotzi clean, and Raquel and Shotzi they proved in one match right there, especially, and they worked pretty well together in their match last week, but they definitely proved it in that match that they are a legitimate team.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm with you on that front too. So yep.
Moving on, let's see. The next thing was Kayla Braxton interviewing Ronda Rousey backstage. She asked Ronda if there will be an open challenge tonight, as the WWE Universe expects, based off her past title reigns. Ronda cuts a promo saying she issues open challenges to prove she's the best, not to entertain the WWE Universe. That the WWE Universe turned their backs on her when she gave her all, and she got nothing but hate in return. So she became champion to spite them, because the WWE Universe doesn't want the best to win. They only want their favorites to win, but they're stuck with the best. Says there will be an open challenge next week when she feels like it. What do you think about this promo?
This was the best Ronda Rousey promo we have probably gotten ever, I would say.
Well, I think this was the best Ronda Rousey promo that I can remember in definitely recent memory.
Yeah. We got a definitive "I am a heel." We got on top of it, saying the true stuff too, like not instead of the fans just "I want this, I want that." She's like, "No, I'm the best, and so this is what you're gonna get. Deal with it." Yes, love that. And then the standard, very old school. Yeah, I'll do the challenge when I feel like it, but Ohio doesn't deserve it, or whatever she said. Like, that's another one where I'm like,
get the hell out
super
of
classic.
Ohio. Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
super classic. Yeah. Everything about it's great, but also saying, yeah, I'm not going to do it this week. I'll feel like it next week. Is just another way of just selling for next week. Like you're promoting the show for next week, which Vince never did. Triple H does a much better job of. So, I mean, that's a great selling point. It's just literally saying like, I am the best. If you really want to watch me and you really want to see what I can do, tune in next week and I'll show you. Loved it. Everything about this promo was perfect. Which I've never said that about a Ronda Rousey promo before.
Well, I was gonna say, I think here in her last few matches, especially at Extreme Rules, we saw a big improvement in her being able to work a crowd, which she's never been bad at in the first place, right? Yeah. And I think us long-term fans all know that the best Ronda Rousey is a heel Ronda Rousey, and I think it flows more natural for her, especially when she cuts a promo. And this was the prime example of that. I believe she believed every word she said, and this sucked me in. And now I'm really interested to see who's going to answer that open challenge next week.
Yes. I am more curious, too, if we're going to finally get the Ronda Rousey-Shayna Baszler tandem that I've always been hoping for.
All right. Well, let's see. Moving on, the show then cuts to the announcers talking about Logan Paul and how, we got a Logan Paul package, and then they're talking about Logan Paul. And then all of a sudden, they are cut off by a Bray Wyatt glitch vignette. It's the spooky mask with distorted audio repeating the phrase mixed with some interesting images, and it flashes a QR code on the screen. The QR code takes you to a link at WWE.com with Bray Wyatt's psyche evaluation, which has most of it redacted, except his name, his birth date, the fact that he refused to sign it, a psychological history section saying he has difficulty showing remorse or empathy / conflict with social norms, and there was also a section marked Other that reads disregarding or violating the rights of others. At the end of the vignette, it showed a person wearing a brimmed hat, topped with a crown of thorns, and what looked to me to be a mask of a gentleman with what appeared to be a grayish goatee and very defined cheeks. I am convinced it is a mask because you hear the person say howdy without the mouth moving. Bad part was it cutting back to the announcers plugging the football games on Fox after this. Because you get through the vignette and then it just the announcers were interrupted and then it just cuts back to them after the vignette and they're plugging the football games and they don't even acknowledge that they were interrupted. That bugs me. But back to talking about what we had here. Was it a gentleman wearing a mask? What do you think?
I'm gonna go yes. I'm gonna say yes. Otherwise, your guess is as good as mine on everything. Like this is one of the few times where like we're wrestling fans, so we always like to predict the future, and this is what's gonna happen. It's gonna be this, and we think this. This is literally one of the very few storylines where I'm just like, week to week, I'm gonna be just as shocked. I'm gonna be just as surprised, and I am just as excited to see what happens next. But yeah, like the psyche evaluation says he has no remorse, things of that nature. Yeah, like it's everything points to a split personality situation that we have here, and I'm very excited for it. I just want to know how it's going to translate to the ring. That's all I want to know. That's all I want to figure out.
I wasn't able to make out what was being said during the at the beginning of the vignette when the spooky mask is talking over the distorted audio and he's repeating himself. Were you? If you were able to make out what was being said over the distorted audio at the beginning.
Not really. Yeah, not really.
But there were some interesting images there, you know, a couple of them flashing, and there was one of somebody that looked he looked deformed in the face, or it looked like he had, you know, may have had an accident and part of his face been, you know, disfigured. There was a spooky shadow in a doorway of a very tall person, more or less. And just some very creepy, cryptic images here. So, definitely, this is something you are just going to have to be on the ride for. But moving on, this is before we move on, I will say one thing. This is obviously a separate character than from the Max that we've seen before. Correct?
Correct.
All right. So the next thing was this was when we get to see Santos Escobar talking about how Legado del Fantasma has grown from a family business to an empire through mergers and acquisitions. Their latest acquisition being Zelina Vega. She then cuts a promo, and they say their legacy begins on SmackDown by destroying Hit Row. It then shows Hit Row backstage, and they were watching that vignette themselves. And B-Fab says they always playing the number games, but she has an idea. What do you think about this?
First of all, I loved the line. There was a great line here, and it talked about how like they want to know how Legado is standing head and shoulders above them when the tallest member of the team only comes up to top dollar shoulders. I like that line a lot. Made me laugh. I definitely think it is a just due to the injury to Montez Ford, and because we've seen them a lot together, I think Angelo Dawkins is the answer. Or, for those of you, if you haven't seen Halloween Havoc yet, there's a person in the ladder match that did not win for the for the North American title that I think is bound to make their move up to the main roster. Carmelo Hayes.
Ooh, this is a very, very interesting call, and I'm with you on that as well. I think that that was going to be what I was about to ask you is what do you think B-Fab's plan is or her idea is? And I think and like you said, Angelo Dawkins or it'd be temporary, but maybe we are looking to add a new member to Hit Row. And, I mean, with Carmelo Hayes, that dude is a star. And speaking of stars, Legado del Fantasma in this promo. All of them dressed to the nines, man. They look like stars. I love this faction, and I think it's even better with Zelina Vega. I'm glad that they finally, she's back, and I think she's perfect for this, for Legado del Fantasma, and, I mean, Santos Escobar. I can't wait. Can't wait.
No, I'm with you on this one. I'm with you, 100%.
All right. Well, the next thing is our main event of the night. And it was the fourth match. They only had 4 matches. See, Rey Mysterio versus Ludwig Kaiser. I love SmackDown's ring announcer and how she does everybody's entrance different. She is amazing. Get her in the new WWE 2K game.
Fair.
This match was great. I was excited for this one, like you were saying, talking about matchups that Rey Mysterio hasn't had yet. And I didn't, when you talk about matches you didn't know you wanted, this was one of them. Shout out to Rey for this one at the beginning, though, for sporting gear based off Macho Man. Did you catch that?
Was it?
Yeah, it was pink and yellow. Yep. Totally stars and everything. Total call out to Macho Man Randy Savage. Ludwig starts out hot during this match, and they have a sort of even matchup at first, and Ludwig hits some heavy moves on Rey. Like, this dude is, he's just as physical as Gunther. And this was a good match for him to show that off. Mysterio gets the setup for the 619, but Giovanni and Gunther distract Rey, then continue with the distractions to give Ludwig the upper hand. Rey starts the comeback, and the crowd's all behind him. At one point, Rey is outside the ring, and Ludwig is distracting the referee, so Gunther and Giovanni can do something to Rey, but Mysterio grabs a steel chair and tosses it to Gunther, who smacks it out of the air, and it makes that loud chair smack sound. With the ref turning around, Rey then jumps on the ground, acting like he was hit. The ref then throws Gunther and Giovanni out of the match. They were ringside, so he throws them out of the arena, and Rey ends up winning with the 619. So, what did you think about this one? I did like the touch to where it showed that numbers games. This eliminated the numbers game. And I don't think it makes Ludwig look weak taking this loss. If anything,
No.
it doesn't hurt him at all.
No, honestly, that's what Vinci and Ludwig are there for in a feud like this. They are there to lose to Rey so that it makes Rey look stronger when he loses to Gunther. Like, that's the standard formula. But the other side of it is, one spot I wanted to talk about is right before the first commercial break during it. Rey was going for that slide outside of the apron where he then slams on top of a grounded opponent, and Ludwig avoided it, and Rey kind of rolled through it, and then when he turned around, he got hit with a wicked European uppercut right there on the floor, and that was a great spot. One thing I did not like, and this is just because of I get it, they're heels. I totally understand it, that they are heels, and they want to try and get the upper hand. But Gunther is a gentleman. He is a ring general, and he takes wrestling very, very seriously. So to show him trying to distract, or to show him to try and do any sort of cheating whatsoever, actually to me takes away from his character, because I feel like Imperium has more integrity than to do anything such as that when one of their guys are in a match. But I get at the same time they're heels, and they want to find ways to get the crowd excited because the heels were kicked out, or yada yada yada. But yeah, I feel like for any other people, sure, cool, that works. But for Gunther, because he has such a high ring integrity, I don't know. That spot kind of bugged me a little bit. Like he's not someone that would stoop to lower tactics. Like that's just not the character to me. But
They did
overall,
manage to do it without them getting actually involved, though.
true.
They
That
never
part is true.
actually laid any hands on Ray at all. So they did manage to do the integrity with that, and especially you especially see this is important because you see the integrity when Rey Mysterio goes to toss him, because it's a toss. He tosses the chair to Gunther, and Gunther immediately smacks down the chair, saying, "I don't need no chair."
Yeah,
But,
that's
know what I
fair.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, so there is, so I'm with you. Definitely, I would have not rather seen him jump up on the apron like he did. I'm with you on that. Absolutely.
But outside of that, man, it's a fun match. Again, a match I didn't know I wanted. Now that Mysterio's there on SmackDown, there's a lot of matches that I'm like, holy crap, I didn't know I wanted these matches. I'm very excited for them. So keep giving me more of that. I love the way Imperium is just being booked in general on SmackDown. I was very nervous for a lot of those guys moving up, but they have just gotten into that role and become a fixture of SmackDown, and they make that show better. So I am very excited to once the Usos are done with their title run, I do want to see Imperium get a small run with the belts. Just something. I think they deserve it.
Well, let's go on. Let's move on. Before we move on to the last thing that happens in the night, we did get a small update on Sheamus from earlier in the night's attack, and he has a non-displaced fracture near his elbow. So it will be undetermined, obviously, until we get another update on when he is able to return to the ring. But the last thing that happens in the night is Logan Paul. He comes down to the ring to cut a promo in his home state of Ohio. During his entrance, they show that he's been training with Shawn Michaels, which I thought was very interesting. He comes down and he says to all of us WWE diehards that he knows that we doubt him, but he's been doubted his whole life. And look where he's at now. Logan Paul goes on to say no one is expecting him to win at Crown Jewel. But what happens if he does? He's then blindsided out of nowhere by Jey Uso, despite Sami Zayn telling him Roman Reigns didn't want anyone to get involved. Jey ends up throwing Logan Paul into the corner when Sami Zayn comes out to stop him. Jey doesn't listen and goes on to charge at Logan, but Logan sidesteps him, then lays out Jey Uso with one punch. 2 weeks from Crown Jewel, and Logan Paul knocks out a member of the Bloodline. There is sure to be hell to pay next week, because we find out that the Tribal Chief will be back on SmackDown. What do you think about Logan Paul knocking out Jey Uso?
I will say the knockout was good. And when you say hell to pay, it's hell to pay for Jimmy. Or not Jimmy, but Jey. Not hell to pay for Logan. It's hell to pay for Jey because he disobeyed orders. So that part was fine. The promo, on the other hand, was... Is he a babyface? Is that the goal? Because he called us all dummies. Just letting you know, like he literally called us all dummies. He did the cheap Ohio pop.
I'm conflicted because obviously he was going to get cheered in his home state, right?
Right.
Okay, and he did. I was expecting, because he did end up saying something about he in his promo. He was calling out all the members of the Bloodline, saying how there's 2 members of the Bloodline that are basically the same person. He's talking about the Usos. And then there's a person named Solo who he's never seen by himself. And then there's Sami Zayn, who he has no friends that look nothing like him. Logan Paul has no friends that look like Sami Zayn. What is that guy, he quotes. But the thing was here is I think I was about to say is he took a big risk definitely by ragging on Sami Zayn like that, with Sami being so over. And I think if anywhere else but Ohio, he would have gotten booed for it. But
I mean, I think he would have been booed regardless of where he went. Just for in general, because he's genuinely an unlikable human being.
But I think that's the thing, is that the WWE is aware of this, and Logan Paul is aware of this, that people are going to hate on him, right? And he obviously, this was a call out during his promo, that he's aware of people talking about him being in the WWE and just hating on it, which isn't the thing to do as fans. You should, this is very, I think this is great. I like Logan Paul, and this is despite him even. We don't even have to talk about his in-ring skills. Let's just talk about what he brings to the product in general. It's more eyes on this product, and now if once you get past that and recognize that, then recognize that he's got some in-ring skills, and he's proven that. And he's proven that he takes it seriously by training the way he does. And here's something I will mention that's interesting as well. When you pull up Logan Paul on the internet, when you Google him, his under thing, where his Wikipedia he is a professional wrestler right now. It says Logan Paul, professional wrestler. Accept it, folks. It's good for the business. As Triple H would once always say, it is what's best for business. And I think he does cut an interesting promo. And I think he's better at maybe riding that line between heel and babyface. Because there are he's a lot of kids like Logan Paul.
Yeah. Oh, dude, to me, they couldn't have picked a better opponent for Roman for a crown jewel show. These big shows outside of the US and outside of the UK are perfect for guys like Logan Paul. Because unfortunately, unless he's facing someone that's just even more unlikable, anytime he's going to be at a big show in the US, whether it be Mania, SummerSlam, etc., he's going to get booed at the beginning. We're going to cheer him at the end because we're going to see, oh gosh, yeah, he can work in the ring. He does a good job in the ring. I was at SummerSlam against The Miz. I was there. When he first came out, people did not like him. But as the match went on, everyone was like, and this is literally the chatter all around me. Everyone was like, oh, this guy can work. Oh, this guy's actually pretty good. Oh, this guy's actually doing some good stuff. Yeah, so we know that. We know he can do what he can do. He's just such an unlikable person, but he's such a big star that he is perfect for these stadium shows that are outside of the U.S., or he is perfect for taking a spot in the Rumble just to be thrown out by someone who can make him have a Mania match that's going to be a good just poster. I think, when I think of Mania for next year, I think he would look great going into the Rumble and getting eliminated by someone like Braun Strowman. And if you tell me Strowman and Logan Paul are going to have a Mania match and that's how it starts, that's going to look wonderful on a poster. And that's why he's there, to look wonderful on a poster, to be a big name and bring eyes to the product. He's not there. If he's going to be champion, people are going to completely just revolt. They are going to revolt. But him facing guys like Braun Strowman, or him facing guys, when he did The Miz, it was great, but just guys that have big personalities and guys that have otherworldly talents that can just make for a spectacle. Because I look back at last year's WrestleMania. Sami Zayn's one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. We all know that. His match with Johnny Knoxville was one of the best things on that entire weekend.
It was a very entertaining match.
It was great.
I'm with you.
It was
I
great.
loved it too.
So
And I
I put
expected the
Logan
worst.
Paul. I did too. So I put Logan Paul in that same vein as Johnny Knoxville. I know he's way more athletic. I know he has way more actual combat sports, background, but he's still a celebrity. he's still someone in the mainstream. And so in my head, putting him up against guys like that when we have big shows like this, as opposed to integrating him as like a normal roster member, it's the same as Bad Bunny. And Bad Bunny's great in the ring as well. And I just I'm always going to view him that way. But I think, I get annoyed he kind of jumped the line to get to a title shot here. But at the same time, I 100% get it. It's a big stadium show where the title's not going to change hands, and it gives Roman even more credibility with mainstream that Roman is facing Logan Paul, when we all know that the end game is for Roman to face an even bigger star in The Rock.
Couldn't say it better myself. Well, it's that time of the night, folks. It's our end of the show. It's time for our favorite moments. So here I wrote down that my near fall of the night was Damage Control. And it wasn't the match itself. It was the fact how they just went over on a obviously good team of Raquel and Shotzi. I wish they would have done it in a way to kept them looking stronger. But I'm not too disappointed by the outcome because it was a good matchup, and that was the only downside. That was my only complaint of the night. What about you? What was your near fall?
My near fall of the night was also that segment. We kind of talked about this before. I'm just kind of done with Damage Control. I know there's people that still want to keep seeing it play out a little bit more. I personally just think it's not working. Let's move on. I'm kind of just done with Damage Control in general.
Let's move on to the next one, which would be the bump of the night. This was a tough one for me to decide because I have it between Shotzi's missile drop kick to Dakota Kai on top of Raquel's shoulders. It was a super missile drop kick. Or the Ludwig Kaiser uppercut to Rey Mysterio. I'm going to have to give it to Shotzi for this one because, I was very impressed with that team during that match, and I can't say that enough.
I'm going with the Ludwig uppercut. I brought it up earlier. I love that spot so much, just because no one ever moves out of that spot from Rey. And then they moved it. He slid through that, and that uppercut was just delivered perfectly. Rey sold it like he got murdered with it. It was great. It was a great shot.
For the next one is Showstopper of the Night, which is the best moment that just makes you go, whoa, what was that? For me, the Logan Paul punch at the end of the night. It was very out of nowhere. I did not expect it, did not see that coming. I expected something screwy, but I did not expect him to knock him out with one punch. So that's definitely a showstopper for me. What about you?
The Ronda Rousey promo. Again, that is her best promo she has done in WWE, and it solidified her as a heel, and it made me say, oh, yeah, I'm going to watch next week because I want to see who comes out there just to get killed by you because you look great right now.
You're getting ahead of yourself, my friend, because the next one would be Savage promo of the night, and I gave that to Ronda Rousey because that was Randy Savage promo.
I'll stick with you, man. I don't even need to say anything more. Yep.
Clip that promo. That's a highlight reel for Ronda Rousey for sure. Yep. I'm with you. For the next one is Barn Burner, the best match of the night. Rey Mysterio versus Ludwig Kaiser. I have to say, it was tough. It was very tough. It was that or the Damage Control match.
Oh, no. I was thinking the opener, Sikoa and Sheamus.
Oh, you like the opener?
I did like the opener. I have become such a Sheamus fan in the last 6 months. I really enjoyed it. And I just become a big Brawling Brutes fan. And give me Butch any day on my screen. I love that dude.
I can't disagree with you. I can't disagree with you. I only give it to Ludwig and Rey Mysterio because it was a good main event. And
it's good.
You've said it before where it's just one of those matchups you didn't know you wanted to see. They still went for, what was it? I think it was like 15, 20 minutes.
12, 15-minute match, yeah.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the bottom line. You can embrace the madness by finding us on Facebook at facebook.com/creamofthecropwrestling. Follow us on Twitter at creamofthecropw. Subscribe to our YouTube channel by searching for Cream of the Crop Wrestling until we get our own URL. Check out our TikTok at Cream of the Crop Wrestling, and you can find full episodes of our podcast wherever podcasts are found. We have a lot of content in the works, and we'll be forever grateful for your support. Until the next episode, I'm Patrick.
And I'm Rob.
And thank you for listening to Cream of the Crop Wrestling. Good night.
Thank you for listening to Cream of the Crop Wrestling. You can embrace the madness by finding us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cream of the Crop Wrestling. Follow us on Twitter at Cream of the Crop W. Subscribe to our YouTube channel by typing Cream of the Crop Wrestling in the search bar. Have fun with us on TikTok at Cream of the Crop Wrestling. And you can always find full episodes of the podcast wherever podcasts are found.
Nothing means nothing, man.
Nothing means nothing. What do you mean by that?
More, I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in. But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah. You know that I'm the cream of the crop. The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better. Oh yeah.